Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. So, I might sound like an a hole here, and I completely agree that what I did was something only shitty people could do. But listen to my story and then tell me if you had acted any differently in my situation. So, my sister was crippled as a child after an accident. I don't want to get into the details of the accident, but because of it, not only her, but my whole family's life changed. She was 5 at the time, and I'm 3 years older than her. I did to some extent understand what she was going through, but no one should expect me to completely forget about my whole life just because my sister isn't able to live hers. But my parents did exactly that. They asked me to give up on everything so that my sister wouldn't feel jealous or sad or lonely. My responsibilities were doubled after she was put in the wheelchair. Both my parents had to work 12-hour jobs as we weren't financially strong enough to afford hospital bills at that time, with only one parent's salary. So it's understandable that neither mom nor dad could quit their jobs. They were also not able to afford a full-time nurse with her physical therapy and other bills. So I was expected to pull my weight and be a responsible brother for my sister. A half-time nurse took care of my sister during the day while I took over after coming back from school. I didn't mind looking after her. In fact, I was happy playing with her or just making her smile. My problem started when my parents took away everything that was fun in my life just so my sister wouldn't feel sad. I wasn't allowed to go to an amusement park or on the rides on my birthdays because we couldn't leave my sister at home and take her with me just to make her see me having fun would be too cruel. I also had to stay at home on Fridays and Saturdays while all my friends went out to the movies or arcades. I remember how they'll talk about their weekend activities the next day at school and I'll feel left out. Eventually, they stopped asking me to join them, and even if someone accidentally extended an invitation, I'd have to turn them down. My only friend who knew how miserable my life was because I was essentially living for my sister would visit me at home sometimes and we'd order pizza and watch something. But even he had to stop visiting after a while because my sister, who was 15 at the time, developed a crush on him and it became awkward. After that, I stopped inviting anyone over to my house. It was like I had two lives, one as the caretaker of my sister at home, and second as the quiet, lonely kid at school. It was a horrible experience, and as much as I love my sister, I always despised her, even though it wasn't her fault that I'm stuck in this life. I consoled myself by thinking about the future and my college life. I wanted to go to NYU and pursue a course in mass media. I worked really hard for that and told my parents that I have applied to NYU. At that time, their reaction was neutral. They didn't openly criticize my choice, but also didn't encourage me. They just said that I should explore my options and that I have some good options near home too that I should look into. I have already applied to Berkeley as my third choice near home. I didn't let their unenthusiastic response dim my excitement and worked on my school record. So a while ago, I received my acceptance letter from NYU, and my happiness was beyond anything. Even though I had to spend a lot of time taking care of my sister, I was able to work hard enough to get accepted in such a prestigious uni, and finally, my hard work has paid off. When I told my sister, she was visibly upset, but that was an expected reaction from her. She's stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of her life and had it 100 times harder than me. So I took it as a good sign when she didn't immediately start crying and actually made an effort to smile. What I didn't expect, though, was my parents to be upset about my acceptance. When I told them, my dad breathed out a deep sigh and my mom asked me to sit down. They then told me how they didn't say anything when I applied because they thought there was a chance I might not get in. But now that I have them, they are asking me to give up on my dreams and go to Berkeley because it's only a 2-hour drive away. I told them that it's nothing compared to NYU, but they only said that they need me here. If I go somewhere nearby, I can always come home on weekends and help them out. I was so angry that even now I have to give up on my life for my sister. I wanted to shout that she's their daughter. They should take care of her, but I didn't. Honestly, I felt bad because there was nothing more they could do. They're already under a lot of debt, and it's not like any of us can do anything to change my sister's situation. They were asking for my understanding, and to avoid getting mad at them, I came back to my room. But the more I thought about it, the more upset I got. It didn't seem fair for me to live as a crippled person too, just because my sister can't live her life. It was maddening to think about everything I gave up and still have to give up for her just because we're poor. I felt like my parents don't recognize how much I've sacrificed, even though it's meaningless. So I decided to be petty about the whole situation just to make them see what I actually do. For the next whole week, I did whatever I wanted. I didn't come back from school on time, and when the nurse called my mom, she had to take half a day off to rush home. I asked my friends to come over, and we spent a whole evening just playing games while my sister sulked in the corner because I had told her she couldn't join. On Sunday, I told my parents I was going out to the arcade with my friends and didn't come home until 8 in the evening. By the end of the week, my sister was looking more depressed than ever. I know it's hard for her to see me enjoy while she's stuck at home, but my parents need to know how much I gave up for her. They never had to deal with her bad moods or a depressive episode because I was always there. And now that they're experiencing it firsthand, the whole atmosphere of my house has gone down a notch. And I'm starting to feel a little guilty too. I wanted my parents to acknowledge that I have a life. They can't chain up forever. But all I ended up doing was making my sister feel sad and my parents feel angry and guilty at the same time. So, am I really an a-hole for despising my sister and my parents in this situation, or for acting childish after everything that happened? Boy, I didn't think things would get this bad so suddenly, but I really feel like an a-hole right now. And I have no idea whether it's emotional manipulation at this point or just straight up abuse. So my sister locked herself in her room yesterday and refused to come out. It was a horrible situation for my parents as they don't know about this behavior of hers. She does this sometimes, but usually she'd come out when I promised to spend time with her or make her something to eat. But now I was in my petty mood and refused to cheer her up at all. She must have fallen into one of her bad moods, and my parents were baffled about it. They kept asking her what they could do, as if a 15-year-old would tell them how to make her have a better life. Finally, after it was too much for my conscience to just watch from the sidelines, I talked to her. Later, she said about how she is sad because I'll be going to NYU while she'll be stuck in that wheelchair. She said I was the only friend she had because she was homeschooled, and after I'm gone, she'll be all alone. I didn't know what to say to this. I was already feeling bad for choosing my life over hers. Then my parents talked to me separately and told me to give Berkeley another thought because they couldn't do this without me. So what am I supposed to do now? Live here forever? I feel helpless about the whole thing. I was reading the replies on my previous update and honestly was amazed at how many of you are telling me to go to NYU. I thought a lot about what my parents are asking me and what I have to give up to keep them happy. But at the end of the day, is it really my responsibility? I'm not the adult in our relationship. I'm their kid, for God's sake, and they should be thinking about my happiness too. It's not my fault that my sister had an accident. It's not my fault that she can't leave the house by herself. Then why should I sacrifice any more of my life for her? And after I decided that one way or another I'm going to NYU, I told my parents point blank that I've made up my mind. And my mom actually got mad. Like, she started talking about how she raised me better than this and how they are head over heels to pay for my college and are still willing to do it. And they only asked me to choose someplace closer to home, but apparently even that was too much for me. I was enraged by her reaction, so much that I told them if they're going to be so self obsessed about this whole situation, I have no reason to even try and make them see my point of view. I just got up and left the house after that. I've been living at my friend's house now. I have no idea what my future holds, and I might go crazy if things didn't get any better. My dad called me yesterday. I didn't expect him to call because usually whatever mom says goes in our house. Her decision is the final decision. But Dad told me to come back home and prepare to go to NYU. He said that I don't have to worry about anyone back at home or about my college fee. He assured me he'll take care of things. I was taken aback by his words, but what affected me the most was him saying thank you to me for taking care of my sister all these years. I didn't expect that, and it almost made me choke up. I'm back at home now, and my mom has already made it a point not to talk to me, and I can't do anything about it. If she wants to go no contact, then I'm not going to beg her when none of this is my fault. But yeah, that's the situation right now. NTA, you're not the a-hole here. Your parents should have looked into homes that provide special care for disabled children, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice anything as a kid. NTA, any parents that make one kid suffer because their other kid has a miserable life are the real a-holes and shouldn't even be allowed to be parents. I, 35, female, was traveling alone out of town for work and staying at a hotel. I was about to go out for dinner, and once I left the room, a man was in the hallway by what I assume was his room, and he whistled to get my attention and motioned for me to come to him, and I said no. He creeped me out, so I went downstairs as quickly as possible, but the creeper followed me into the lobby, and I figured I'd better not go outside to my car by myself and would ask a staff member to walk me to my car. There was a bit of a line at the front desk, and the lady looked like she was alone and was checking in another guest. This guy keeps trying to talk to me as I'm standing there nervously. I eventually shout for him to leave me alone, loud enough for everyone else to hear. I was hoping it would get the front desk employee's attention, but she just looked like Bambi in headlights. And when the guy wouldn't quit, I said loudly, "Leave me alone or I'm calling the cops." But then I noticed my phone had no service. Lobby had poor cell reception. Then the front desk lady looked nervous but continued to do the first come, first serve thing. I was scared and said, "Look, I'm being harassed. Can you please walk me to my car? This man won't leave me alone." She looked like she didn't know what to do, but obliged. And when she was walking me out and told her more of what he did, and she said, "Oh, he's a regular. He's fine." I told her this man was scaring me and wouldn't take no for an answer, and I understand other guests were there first, and she was alone, but that should take priority over other people's check-ins. AITA for demanding her help, attention, when there were others in front of me under the circumstances? Thanks, everyone, for your feedback. I've read through as much as I can, but I'll answer some of the most common questions. She was not young. She was late 40s, early 50s, but I have no idea if she was new or not. When I went up to her, I asked her if someone, not specifically her, could walk me to my car and whisper to her what was happening because the creep was watching. She did it herself as it appeared no other staff members were at the hotel, and they didn't appear to have readily available security. This was about 7 p.m.-ish. The dinner I was on my way to, a business dinner with my boss and very important clients, so missing it was not an option. These clients were the reason for my travel. I did not have the luxury of waiting possibly hours for the cops to arrive. And I know if I walked to the parking lot alone, the creep would have followed me and done goodness knows what. I'm sure there are definitely things I could have done differently, but I was in flight, fight, survival mode. Hotel was completely sold out, so they couldn't move me. But after the business dinner, I packed my stuff, told my boss the situation, and he accompanied me to my room and waited outside while I packed my stuff and left for another hotel. Front desk lady is definitely the AH here. Being a regular doesn't make him less creepy. It's gross that the employees enable his behavior and let him hang around. I feel badly that you did what you thought was best and got completely shut down for it. You definitely did the right thing, and I'm sorry that woman was not more supportive or helpful. Maybe she's a bit afraid of him herself, so has resorted to leaving him, be instead of kicking him out or making a scene. YTA, I'm a woman. I've traveled alone. I've definitely been in similar harassed and scared before. However, when you walked downstairs and saw a woman walking alone and decided the best course of action was to have her leave the desk, walk you out to the dark parking lot, and then walk back by herself while the creep that you were afraid of is around. If the parking lot was too dangerous for you by yourself, then why would it be safe for her? Yes, she told you he was a regular and fine, but that was after you'd already gotten her outside, and you know women don't always know which guys are fine. You certainly didn't believe her. By calling her Bambi, I'm assuming she was young and not very big, strong looking. By 35, you should know better than to throw another woman under the bus for your safety. In addition, you don't know if she's been told by her manager never to leave the desk unattended at night. You could be putting her job in jeopardy. I understand how scary it was for you, but in the lobby with a bunch of other people is safer than in the parking lot with another woman. You should have waited in line and then explained the situation to her when you got to the front. I'm a 23-year-old male. I've been with my girlfriend, 22, for 5 years. We're both part-time college students and full-time workers. I lucked out and got a decent job making around 60 to 65,000 a year, depending on sales, and also have a rental property that nets around $300 a month. My girlfriend works as a dental assistant making $19 an hour and works 36 hours a week, equally to roughly $37,000 a year with bonuses. I've always usually paid for things because I knew I made more money. Recently, we moved in together and I was okay with paying for most of everything because I was under the impression my GF had no money. So I wanted her to save up and didn't want to burden her as her schooling is more difficult than mine. She would always say that she has no money because of her bills that she has to pay. My girlfriend got her car paid by her dad, gets college for free through work. So she pays car insurance and whatever she spends on her credit card. I, on the other hand, had to put down all the deposits for the apartment. I currently pay $1,000 for rent, plus roughly $400 for all other utilities. On top of that, I still have to pay my car note and my college tuition. My girlfriend does help out buying some groceries and helps with laundry, but groceries for the month don't equal $1,400. Recently, my girlfriend left a bank receipt out, and I, with her total savings amount that I happened to take a glance at, turned out to be $40,000 in the savings account. Now I'm questioning why I'm paying so much more of our living expenses. We recently got into an argument of money and I brought up her savings account. My girlfriend got mad that I found out and is accusing me of snooping around her stuff. And now is trying to say that I make almost double, so I should pay for most of the expenses. So I need to know AITA for asking her to help pay more. My savings account is nowhere near hers. My savings is at around $5,000 because of the rental property I purchased about 4 months ago. I don't want her to take money out of her savings. What I would like, before she puts her whole check into the savings, to help out with a utility bill or two. Wait, hang on. You earn twice as much as her, and you own a rental property, but you don't think it's reasonable to split bills based on income because she has more cash savings? Your rental property is an asset which almost certainly has a value of $40,000 or more. If your girlfriend can't cover half the bills without cutting into her savings, then she'd be dwindling the savings quite quickly. Are you having to borrow against the rental property to pay your share of the bills? If so, you're in an apartment you can't afford. She has that amount in savings because she's not paying for anything. He's asking for her to contribute from her paycheck before she squirrels it all away and pretends that she's broke. Not sure why this is so difficult to understand. I'm betting if OP was a woman, the comments would look much different. He is NTA.